Where do you get your drive from?
I love to run, I love to struggle, and I love to fuck things up every now and then.
A lot of my drive comes from what can I become? How far can I go? What's the potential?
The level of training and the level of intensity, you don't get it from normal training. It's something that you have to go to a really dark place.
I've been in a dark place. There's been lots of self-doubt, burnout 100%.
Like, if I'm not creating, does that mean I'm nothing?
Fear and negativity can put you off continuing something, whereas the optimism of it, I go, do you know, I was close there.
There's a lot of shame with how our homes, our bodies and our clothes are. It's always reminding us that we're not clean enough, we're not good enough, we're not thin enough, we're not rich enough, we're not new enough.
You have to know who you are and what you're about. If that's spending time in nature, do that. If that's spending time being the best parent, you should do that. If you want to be a Hunter S. Thompson type character who's sitting at home doing lines of cocaine, drinking chartreuse, writing the great American novel, I say you should do that.
Where do you get your drive from?
To be quite honest with you, ever since I got sober, I feel like I have the opportunity of making something in my life. I feel like I have an opportunity of becoming somebody that my daughter will look up to. When I'm dead and when I'm gone, she'll always be able to say, you know what, that was my dad. That's what pushes me on, you know. I never had money, never had a privileged upbringing or anything like that. I never had none. And I want to be able to acquire everything so I can show my daughter and show anybody who follows the journey that's possible, you know. Genuinely, I'll be honest with you, I don't give a bollocks about external things. I fell into that trap about a year ago, you know, buying fancy clothes, fancy watches. Then I realised like it does fuck off you, you know. I want to struggle, I want to suffer, I want to succeed, and I want to leave it all to my daughter.
Why do you say I want to struggle and I want to suffer?
I'm just thankful to be alive, and that's being totally honest with you. I'm so happy to be alive. Cause like I'm genuinely being honest here. I was on death's door, and if I didn't take my own life, the drugs are gonna take me on. Still to this day, I don't understand how I'm here, but I'm just delighted that I'm here. I have a second chance at life, like, you know what I mean? My daughter has a dad in her life, and in the Bible it says, those who have more will be given. But the missing word from that is, those who have gratitude, more will be given in life. And every time I mess up, every time I struggle, past couple of weeks I've been going through an extremely hard time. I'm not gonna be honest with you, I'm delighted, because I know I'm at that level in my life where that's the obstacle, that's the adversity, and you're going to the next level. So be happy you're there, because other people don't get that in their life, you know what I mean? It's a privilege to struggle, it's a privilege to feel, and it's a privilege to fuck your whole life up, because the only way is up.
My dad is basically, he's a big part of my story. So my dad suffered from brain cancer, and I developed OCD guilt after he passed away. I wish I spoke to him in certain times, and I wish I said things, and I don't know, just played on my mind, and I used fitness as a means of escape. Sometimes like the level of training and the level of intensity, you don't get it from normal training. It's something that you have to go to a really dark place. The thing that really motivates me, to be honest with you, is I made a promise to my father after he passed away. I know people will say, oh, it's only HYROX, but it's important to me. It's my life at the moment, you know what I mean? I potentially want to build a career from this, and I feel like, you know, my family are looking at me, and I fear of doing, like Chicago, if I had a really bad race, and people would be like, Sean's only peaked and raced, and, you know, he's gone now, like he's not great anymore. So there's a lot of expectation. So fear of losing, the fear of failure is probably what drives me the most. So yeah, I'm not one to get nervous per se, but I do fear letting people down, and, you know, the expectation of doing well, and then the feeling of letting them down, that's my biggest kind of fear, you know.
That's a massive driver.
Big time, yeah.
So the fear of losing drives you more than the joy of winning, nearly.
Yeah, I don't really, like, the joy of winning is very like, it's not that long, it doesn't last that long. You know, you feel great for an hour, and then you're like, right, what's next? Like when I won the age group, which was my goal, I was like, just want to be age group world champion. I've raced twice, and that was what I said after Glasgow or after Barcelona. I was like, listen, this could be a phenomenal year if I'm world champion. And after achieving that, I felt great for like an hour, and then I'm like, I should have been in the elite 15. I should have been racing in the elite 15.
Yeah.
I said, you know, and then I got annoyed. I was like, oh.
Do you practice visualization? Do you write down your goals? Do you journal things, or do you just have it in your head and that's all you need?
I'm a big believer in visualization. I think huge benefits from it. I visualize winning. I visualize like getting to the wall balls, how I feel, imagining getting no reps, you know, continuing going unbroken, stuff like that. Like I'm a huge believer. I think you can get so much strength from that. I do write down. I have my phone. I just put notes and I put little goals, and then I look at them like when I'm on flights or whatever. I have very like 2 or 3 goals, and I just look at them and I remind myself these are the goals you set. I achieved all the goals I set this year.
There you go. So something's right.
So I set I was going to win Dublin, going to qualify for Elite 15, and then I was going to be age group world champion, and I achieved all 3. So
have you set your goals for next year yet?
Yeah, like put them out there. So the goal is I want to qualify again for Elite 15, so that's back in, qualify for the World Championships and top 5 Elite 15 in the World Championships there. That's my goal.
I grew up in a single parent family, and at a time where that wasn't really normal. And it meant that there was quite a lot of judgment. You know, I went to a good school in a good area, kind of because of my granddad, and I think looked down upon potentially quite a bit. Single parent seemed less than. I think with that, it gave me a little bit of a chip on my shoulder.
Okay.
To prove people wrong.
Wow.
So it kind of instilled a little bit of a fight that probably I've carried along the way.
Do you think there was like a specific moment in your life that you made that decision where you were going, do you know what, I want to prove people wrong, or I want to be, you know, whether it's wealthy or successful? Was there a moment that you can pinpoint that too? Because a lot of times people say how I remember the day I decided X, Y, or Z.
I think I was always kind of fine in school. I didn't really, I went to a pretty academic school. I was always fine. I kind of surfed along. I didn't really care about it. I wasn't that passionate about it, but I did okay. I was a good girl, went along, but it wasn't really my thing. My thing was always art within that. So even from being little, art was what people rewarded me for. So I was seen when I did art or when I sang. Those two creative expressions is when I got like rewarded or validated. I think so during school, you're almost in your kind of a pigeonhole or your box. And it's when you leave that you get to see there's a whole other world.
Of course.
So when I was doing my degree, I remember actually my boyfriend at the time, it was the first time ever that I said, I want to get a first in this. I want to do well in this. I think I could do that. Interior design.
Interior design.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember him saying, "Oh, almost. Shh, don't say that out loud."
Yeah.
It was like a 2-1 is really good. Not many people get a first. And I remember that attitude, because I'm saying it. That attitude stuck with me, and it really annoyed me.
His attitude, his response to it.
His attitude, and I get it. You know, there's so many people like that. It's like, don't say it in case it doesn't happen and you're disappointed, and then you might be embarrassed.
How do you stay energized and focused? What do you do that keeps you alive?
Well, I will be honest, like spite is my biggest motivator. So on a day, like, no, I'm not joking. It is like, I remember when I broke up with an ex-boyfriend and my life was just like fucked. I remember just being like, and this is so like immature, and all the time I was in my 20s where I was like, I just want to be walking, if I ever bump into him again, because I remember, a long story short, I had met his dad, and his dad said to him, like, if she had to be a waitress, she could at least have been good looking. And I remember I used to just keep that in, like, oh no, like fit to batter. And now I would never date the English again. I'm joking. So like, I think that was like, when you're in your 20s, that's such a motivator. I just wanted to be like, I want to be like proud of myself walking by and just be like, you know, like I've made something of my life or whatever. Whereas some of the happiest memories I have are when I was a waitress in that Italian restaurant. Yeah. I worked for an amazing Italian family. Like I earned enough money to get by. I had great friends. So like now that's not really like, you know, but I think if someone says I can't do it, that motivates me. But also I've just learned that there's certain circumstances under which everybody works really well, and you've got to figure it out. For me, it's when I've like literally hydrated, I've been to the gym, I've probably done like a bit of boxing or something that day, and I've eaten well, especially the day before. I feel like it's like a plant who's had some water. Yeah. That is what I'm able to go into the next day and feel good. Sometimes I'm reading the book The Artist's Way at the moment, where you just like, like, I'm not a big journaler, but you just write anything, like
It's brilliant.
anything, 3 pages or whatever, you never read it again. But it kind of gets, it's kind of like in the morning, they describe it's kind of like a funnel. You just get the blockage out and then everything else can flow for the rest of the day.
Top 3 daily habits for maintaining health. Aside from like obviously working on your sleep and something, like have you a physical, like go for a walk in nature type scenario that you recommend? I might have taken.
But this is the thing, is the basics are the big levers. There, you know, I call it AICT. It's ass and chair time. It's getting the core factors right and just persisting with them. I really think it's you know, probably one of the key things that people could do is on a, say, quarterly basis, actually sit down and reflect and say, listen, how am I getting on with kind of exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress? And am I hitting my targets for what I want to actually hit? I think this is where, if you introduce practices like gratitude, mindfulness, and meditation, which are really crucial to how you engage in that reflective process, that can help you make the decisions for those things. So people look at practices like meditation as some kind of executive stress ball, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. Meditation is a way to explore your own mind and understand kind of who you are, what you're about, and to use those practices on a regular basis. So, you know, if those 4 levers need to be changed, you need a continual process of updating kind of whether you're hitting them or not.
You practice daily meditation?
I try.
Take me back a couple of years. You were drinking a little bit too much. You know, weight was creeping up. Life was busy. What? How long ago was that?
I brought the story back to my grandfather, and he was from Westmeath. He was one of 15 kids, and he went to London during World War II era and became a multimillionaire. From building bunkers during World War II and then building houses from the kind of destruction. And my father grew up in a lot of wealth. So he grew up in Ealing in London in a 7-bedroom mansion with a tennis court, and he was chauffeur driven to school and stuff like that type of an upbringing, which is quite privileged. And only for him to see his father as an alcoholic, died at the age of 52, would have had multiple affairs that were very open in the family. And so when my dad was 19, his dad passed away, leaving him basically debt, leaving them in ruin, even though he had at one stage become very, very, very wealthy. So that kind of left him and his family in a very kind of strange position, whereas one second they're rich and the next second they're poor. And that caused, I suppose it caused a lot of anger and whatever other negative emotions that may have caused. So they moved back to Ireland, and my dad kind of continued on that path that his father had started. And so very similar. My dad was 57, died, heavy drinker, overweight, obese, very poor lifestyle, but he was always that entrepreneurial type as my grandfather was. So entrepreneurial kind of mindset was always in the family. And when I had that, when I tell you I had that kind of breaking point in 2017, I realized that I was becoming my dad as well. If you get me,
Was that one key moment? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was taking a selfie on our holidays, and my kids on my shoulders. My wife was with me, and I have it on my phone to keep it as a reminder. And I didn't recognize myself in the picture because I was just so overweight, and I hated myself. Do you know? So when you hate yourself, it's not it's not a strong place to be in. And I continued to hate myself for a number of years, to be honest. And so that level of exploration and that level of the drive to kind of find me, who I am, do you know what I mean? Not the version I wanted to be from my dad, or because he was a huge influence in my life and I loved him, but he was quite a destructive character as well. And hugely talented. You know, I always think if he had put his energies in the right way, that, you know, what could have been. So really a lot of my drive comes from me trying to set that right in terms of what can I become? How far can I go in terms of what's the potential, do you know? And that's what I'm doing right now, seeing how far I can push myself in a positive way, not in a negative way. And I have a very positive relationship with myself now. And it took me 8 years to get there. But it's powerful. And that's where my energy is coming from. That's where my morning routine comes from. That's where like everything is stemming from that
Yeah.
desire, you know.
Making mistakes, making mistakes in the water, obviously there's a consequence of that. There's a fall, there's an injury potential, all that sort of stuff. Is fear something that's involved with that process? I mean, listen, getting up on the water and doing a trick and hitting a wave, and I feel the fear already myself, but for you, is fear something you encountered on that journey?
Yeah, but in a great way. Like, I think those anxious feelings, or like the fear of trying a new trick, or like, honestly, sometimes we've gone to shoots and I'm like, we're probably over our depth here. Like, we're 2 people turning up to like something that we might need, 5 or 6. But I think it's kind of a really nice feeling. If you can channel that correctly, it's brilliant. And that's what I always found trying new tricks. I would always say to myself, like, I'm going to do this eventually. Like, I really want to try it, whether it's a double flip or whatever it was. I'm going to do it eventually, so I might as well just do the first one now. And usually the first time you do it, you kind of think to yourself, you almost unlock it and you go, I can probably do this. So I would always try and zoom out of things and always try and look at the positive, because I definitely think fear and negativity can put you off continuing something, whereas the optimism of it and going, I was close there, that can actually drive you forward.
That's a super mindset to have. Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan, even in fitness stuff, and I'm working as a personal trainer where people are, they've only lost X amount of weight in a week, for example. I'm like, oh, that zoom out line is like, people are sick of hearing me talking about it. But when you zoom out, those little micro goals and those little small, tiny little targets become huge. The compounding interest on that is massive. What do you think if you're to put your mindset, or one mindset or one skill that's most important to your success, do you think it's a visualization, or do you think it's self-belief, or is it something that we've missed?
Consistency probably is whatever it was, the compounding effect of being consistent. So if it's making YouTube videos, just posting 3 times a week, even if the video performs awfully or whatever, just continuing. Same with wakeboard tricks, just consistently trying it. Same with making videos for clients now or whatever, getting it right. We haven't nailed. Just last week we kind of messed up a little video, and I'm not going ahead and going, oh, that's that done now. Like, we've messed that up. We've got a very similar event coming up, and I'm looking forward to kind of having a second go at it and just consistently showing up and trying to do it. So I think optimism and consistency would be the 2 things I really see as like kind of a superpower.
When you're working in art, doing art every day and creating every day, it obviously requires, patience, imagination, creativity, and whole loads of different pieces. Is there anything that you do to help, keep yourself patient, keep yourself calm, and stay focused? Would you put it down to one particular thing, or is it just the way your mindset is at this stage?
I think it's definitely just a mindset thing. I don't particularly think of how I work or try and structure it in a way, but I do definitely procrastinate a lot. But when I am working, I go into a zone of focus, and that will last for hours and hours, and I could be painting a wall and not step away from the wall for 12 hours. I won't eat or drink, and then the next day I'd sit around doing nothing all day,
So your work kind of ebbs and flows, your energy ebbs and flows, and you just lean into that when it starts, that creative, but you just don't let anything get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then when I have the time off, I'll take a break, like, because of being burnt out so many times, because, I go from one mural to the next, literally, like, fly from one country to the next, painting a large scale mural, and it's just constant focus.
Do you suffer with creative block in that instance where you're, just taking on too much and you just can't, you're commercially, you're working, you're painting, you're doing your stuff, but to actually create pieces, do you find that hard?
Yeah, it is quite tough now. I remember before I started kind of doing the style that I'm working on, I was always actively trying to develop a style that I could use and rely on. And now that I have it, I find that I'd like to evolve on from that. But because I've been so busy, I haven't had time to experiment, because I'm working on commissions where the people who are commissioning me are expecting one type of work that I can't just show up and paint something completely new that they haven't seen. So I have to develop that and create a portfolio of that in my own time.
Like, I've been working for myself for 10 years. So I registered a company in 2015. And for the first 3 years, I definitely worked like 6 or 7 days a week, just nonstop, working. And I think that was actually necessary. Anyone who started a business probably knows that's actually necessary for a bit. But then, because you're tying your financial well-being with your like artistic output, those things get really muddy. And you're like, if I'm not creating, does that mean I'm nothing? Does that mean I'm a worthless person? So like, trying to get out of that cycle is really hard. So I think I've managed to detach a good bit. I'm like, it's also just a job now. And I do other things in my life. Like I started doing dance lessons
I will.
about 2 years ago. There's
What type of dance?
well, street jazz and contemporary.
Brilliant.
So I used to do it up till I was about 20, and then I didn't do it for 20 years. I found this class by Connor Davis. He's a dance teacher. He's brilliant. And it was just like doing something that's artistic, but no pressure. You're not making money out of it. You don't have to be really good. I was really, really good. So I do stuff like that. And yeah, the pressure to be very good or, you know, good enough is hard. So yeah.
Yeah, and does your cycle peak? Do you have moments throughout the, you know, you've good art, you've okay art, you've great art. Is it just a case of you create whatever's there?
I'm always brilliant.
Do you feel like there's been any massive big obstacles that you've had to overcome that, well, I'm sure you do on a daily basis, but big ones that you've learned from that you think were transformative or maybe even sent you in a different trajectory with your career?
Definitely. I think rather than even, you know, saying specific things, it's more the impact that big chaos moments have on you. And I think how I react to things that would have been huge before, how I react to them now is different.
Yeah.
So, and that comes with knowing yourself. It comes with age as well and experience. But I think mostly it comes with being able to step away from yourself and kind of look in. Like there's been lots of massive things that have happened over the years where, yes, I have not been in a good place. I've been in a dark place. There's been lots of kind of self-doubt and is this all worth it? Burnout 100%. Things that are not healthy. And I think I've always pushed through them. You pick yourself up and you don't always maybe connect your body shouting at you.
Yeah.
Whereas now when chaotic things happen, I've learned, I guess, ways to deal with it, almost to catch myself. So something really kind of big happened a good few years ago and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good time in my business. It wasn't a good time personally. And I used to go to this business life coach and he described, I'm quite visual, so
Yeah,
I like to picture these things. They help me get through things. So he said to describe this almost house or kind of building space that I could go to that's mine. No one else can get in. There's a secret door. So I have that in my head and, you know, it's very cool. But for all of the energy, because I started to get obsessed by the negativity.
As in focusing on it or getting put off? It was actually
focusing on it.
Yeah.
So I've learned that when negative things happen, you kind of have an option and it's you either feed it, you feed that fire, and that's talking about it, talking fearfully about it, talking to more people about it, getting more momentum, negative.
And more of it tends to come in then.
Exactly. You're actually inviting it in and you're kind of deviating from where you should be going.
Yeah.
And when especially creative, but I think most things are actually creative, you are actually stopping yourself from progressing. So he, at the time, my coach said, just please, will you just go back into that house and shut the door? You know, like just block that out. Because for me to be able to create things for other people, be able to create visions that I have, I need to be focused on them. I need to fully be creatively expressing myself. And the moment I turn away and I'm looking at the chaos or negativity around me is the moment I've stopped. And it's frantic, it's negative, you don't sleep, you're looking at your phone, you're fixated. All of those things, all of the healthy things you should be doing to help yourself are gone. So that's what I've learned not to do.
Are you on a bit of a mission?
In what way?
In your life, you've got like there's like this drive. I feel like I don't know, maybe a couple of centuries ago, who would you have been in a community, because you're like out there achieving so much. You've got great opinions, but you know, really strong, great opinions on feminism, even a little bit, and equality in Ireland, England, and like, is there a mission, an underlying mission that you want to achieve in your life? If you were to leave a legacy behind, what do you want that to say?
God, I don't know. I went to see an astrologist at the start.
Okay.
She changed my fucking life. Unbelievable. Best money I ever spent. She's this. She's actually an analyst and a psychologist as well. She's in LA. Unbelievable. And she spoke about like life path and life mission. And she was saying like a lot of the work I do is that it will have had a positive impact on the planet and on people and just keep flowing through life like that. But I think long term, I'd love to not live in one place. I'd love to set up a life where I lived, you know, by the sea for part of the year, where I live in a big city, I can see all my friends. Like that's what I would love. And I would love to be part of creating something that takes away shame around this. That sounds a bit nuts. And I basically, I think a lot of, especially women and men, and I think being from a colonized country, there's a lot of shame with how our homes, our bodies and our clothes are.
Yeah.
So people are constantly consuming something new, and it's fucking up the planet, but it's also fucking up our mindset. Like there's a beauty in having a little hole in your jumper or a bit of pilling. That's jumper's been on you during amazing times. And women are targeted towards with laundry products that it has to smell really clean or you're a bad mother. You know, and like it's the packaging on stuff. It's always reminding us that we're not clean enough, we're not good enough, we're not thin enough, we're not rich enough, we're not new enough. And I feel like if my work can even in a small way seep into that. Like I'm working with Primark kind of behind the scenes since last year, and we've just started doing some public stuff, but like, you know, that's a lot of that's entry level. Like there's people buying baby grows for £5, that's all they can afford. Why are they not the best baby grows that we are putting out there? You know, why they should, and they really believe in that as well. It's of the value customer. I would love to my work to seep into where people feel like they don't have to feel like newness makes them a better person.
Because your capacity to understand your own mind, your capacity to understand your own emotions, and your capacity to question your logic and your thinking, is that just from treatment, or how have you built that? How have you created that within yourself?
Because I stopped listening to me mind and I started listening to me heart. And like, so that can sound like I'm trying to actually say something without actually holding accountability of it. But I swear to God, that's all I ever do. Whenever my mind gets too messed up or too overrun, I say, hold on for a second, stop thinking and start feeling. And I listen to my heart and I ask myself, what's my intuition saying? You know, I always say that like prayer is when you're speaking to God, but intuition is when God is speaking to you. And whether you believe in it or not like that, like it doesn't really matter, because it matters to me and it's what's helped me. And I always just listen to how I'm feeling and I question everything. I question absolutely everything. And if something's not sitting right with me, if something's not feeling right with me, then I won't do it, or I won't be around people, or I won't carry out specific things.
What can you do to find life meaningful? So it doesn't necessarily imply an answer, but you can engage with the world in such a way that you find the world and the life that you're in meaningful. If that is starting a successful company and being, you know, wildly successful and making lots of money, that's what you should do, as long as it meets those criteria. If that's spending time in nature, do that. If that's spending time, you know, being the best parent, whatever that is, you should do that. If you want to be kind of extreme athlete and you want to hit all your health goals, I can help you do that. But if you want to be a Hunter S. Thompson type character who's sitting at home, you know, doing lines of cocaine, drinking chartreuse in a hot tub, kind of, you know, writing the great American novel, I say you should do that, because if that's really what you want to do, we need all colors in the world, and our time here is finite. And you know, we get the great American novel. And all of us die in the end. And if that is really how you want to spend your time,